Hello everybody, this is Albert with Green Tea House. I hope you're doing well today. Today we're going to answer the question of what exactly is a cultivar. Now before we begin, I highly recommend you check out our back catalog of episodes, and I'll make sure that I put some that are applicable here. Also, please, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Also, post a comment. I'd like to hear from you. So one of the ones I'm going to put up here is what is terroir, because terroir and cultivar sometimes get confused. So a cultivar is actually, the word cultivar is a portmanteau or a combination of two words that means a cultivated variety. And the best way to explain a cultivar is, I guess maybe you can think of ice cream. How there's dozens of different types of ice cream, but essentially it's the same ingredients, but it's what you do to the ice cream to make it different. And maybe ice cream isn't the best example, but let me explain what a cultivar is. So go to episode 1. What exactly is tea? The Camellia sinensis plant is the tea plant. Now there's two major varieties or subcategories of Camellia sinensis. You have Camellia sinensis, otherwise known as the China bush, and Camellia sinensis assamica, otherwise known as the Assam bush, or the one from South Asia, the India bush. And so these are the two main categories of the Camellia sinensis plant. Anything that does not come from the Camellia sinensis plant, we really shouldn't be calling it tea. It should be called a tisane or another word. So when we say, oh, I love peppermint tea, no, you're not supposed to say that. Tea only comes from the Camellia sinensis plant. Now, each of these subcategories of the plants are vastly different. The way they look, the way they taste when you process them and so forth. So Camellia sinensis is grown more in the middle latitudes. So you think of like China. It is more susceptible to colder weather. It is more susceptible to higher elevation, and they tend to have smaller leaves, and the taste doesn't tend to be as robust. Assamica, or the Assam bush, is grown better with a lot of rain. It can be grown in the equatorial regions where it's not as cold. That's where it's going to thrive, and it has much bigger leaves, and it's also more stringent, more bitter. So these are themselves subcategories that you need to understand. So if you are going to drink a black tea that comes from Assamica, like, I don't know, a Nilgiri from South Asia, and then you're going to drink a black tea from Fujian province in China, these are from different subcategories of plants. One's the China bush, one's the Assam bush. They're going to taste fundamentally different. Even if you process them the same way, fully oxidized, you process them the same way, they're going to taste different. If you look at them under a microscope, each of these tea leaves from the China bush to the Assam bush, they'll look different. They're fundamentally different. So just understand that. That in itself is not necessarily a cultivar, but understand that there's major subcategories. So a cultivar is when a tea planter, whether it be a large industrial one or a small mom and pop business somewhere in the middle of nowhere, Sri Lanka or Nepal or wherever, they're going to grow their particular bush, whether it be China bush, Assam bush, in a particular way that's going to make it have a particular flavor, look, taste profile. So there's 500 cultivars, more than 500. So if you just think of like Chinese green tea, right? Why do some Chinese green teas look flat-bladed like Longjing, like Dragonwell? And then why do some of them look rolled up? Why do some of them have a spiral shape? Same for oolongs. Why do some of them have a certain color? Why do some of them have a certain shape? You can do this for every category of tea. It's because they come from different cultivars. And these tea planters will grow and support a certain type of product that's going to be based and characteristic of the terroir. So this is where we get into terroir. So terroir affects the cultivar. So terroir is going to be external things. Soil, rain. Is it on a slope? The terrain, think of terrain, and this is very similar to wine. And then all these things will go into a factor when a tea master decides what type of variety of fill-in-the-blank tea I should grow, whether it be green, whether it black, or so forth. And so every tea master, based on their location, based on what they want the tea to look like, based on what they want the tea to taste like, will maximize a particular variety to be their cultivar. So if you look at something like sencha, sencha is grown all over all over Japan, different prefectures everywhere. And even within each prefecture, they're going to be growing and processing their sencha in different ways. There's hundreds of cultivars in specific to sencha cultivars that are grown by different planters and farmers because they want to bring out a certain taste. So you think of like recipes, right? You can have an apple pie, but there are going to be 100 different interpretations of just that apple pie based on whatever little magic that the baker wants to put in. So the tea masters are no different. They're looking at the plant that they have, what Camellia sinensis subcategory they have. They're looking at their terroir, they're looking at their flavor profile, and they're like an artist. They're like, I want to create something like this. And this is why you'll have dozens of cultivars of some of the most famous teas. You can look at Alishan, the oolongs from Taiwan. You can look at Nilgiri, which is grown in southern India. You can look at Kenya Black. You can look at Lapsa Souchong. You can look at fill in the blank, Jasmine, fill in the blank. There isn't going to be one flavor profile for all of these. There's going to be dozens based on how it's grown. And that is a cultivar, a cultivated varietal. That's what a cultivar is. So understand. And a lot of this is applicable as well to wine, right? So you look at a red wine. A red wine is not necessarily going to taste the same in California as it would down in Argentina, as it would down up in France, and so forth. So it's kind of the same thing. Guys, I hope this helps. Post in the comments. Until next time, take care and God bless.